Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back to our final interview of the day, and it is with Tasneem Ahmed. She is a rapid results life coach. She's been trained in holistic therapy, touch for health. She is IKC certified, and she also does basic counseling. An amazing young woman. She's going to tell us about all of her work and how and what different type of conditions you might have to go to her for healing, inshallah. Tasneem Ahmed, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Lovely to have you here. And thank you indeed for your patience.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I hope you were suitably entertained by the competition.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about the type of work you are engaged in, Tasneem. What made you decide on this path as your life's work or your profession?
Well, funny enough, I started off in journalism.
Wow,
So, yeah, I've got my background is I'm formally trained as a journalist. And then once the kids came along, so I'm not that much of a young lady. Once the kids came along and deciding to stay home with them, and kids get sick, and you have this and you have that going on, I decided to do a bit of a short course on holistic healing, really just to help my family. And well, from there. Came to find that it was actually much needed, very much needed.
wow.
So I find that I always say it's still in line with journalism because journalism deals with stories. And now I'm just dealing with the stories that people tell themselves and seeing how that affects their lives and their bodies.
So you started this training in holistic healing. You also wanted to have enough time for your loved ones, your little kids at the time. Did you find that it helped you in their little issues that they were displaying as they were growing up, rather than you having to run to a doctor with every sniffle and every cold that they presented with?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Having said that, I do not in any way advise any of my clients or even my own family not to see a doctor with any health issues. Remember, when we're talking about holistic health, it's not alternative. Holistic includes medical attention. But with that, my kids will, for example, take medicine, and even the youngest one, who's 7 now, he also knows how to balance the lung meridian, which runs from the armpit to the thumb. He knows how to balance that to stop a cough. And at the same time, he will take medication if that's indicated for him. They know the correct, most of the nutrition related to different ailments and how to look after themselves, yes. And with my clients as well. I always teach them the balances, the meridians, the Chinese medicine, the nutrition. I empower the mothers, especially, so that they can use it for their children, for their families in conjunction with whatever other treatment you are doing. And that's the beautiful thing about holistic is that it's complementary. It just plugs on, it works with. So that's great.
Alhamdulillah. Uh, Explain to me the difference because I often get confused with these two concepts, holistic healing and alternative healing. What is the difference or what are the similarities between the two?
Well, I don't really know much about alternative. So I don't want to speak on something I don't know much about, but I know alternative is very much excluding a certain modality, whatever
Ah,
those modalities are. For me, holistic includes everything. So for example, I have clients who are doctors. I have clients who are psychologists. I work with medical professionals to treat a client, and there's never any clash. I always say if there's something that is, an issue for a client in terms of treatment, always defer to the other practitioner that you are with. So that's never been an issue in my practice over these 8 years or so. So holistic includes everything. I think people hear holistic and they think immediately natural. I'm going to have to drink wheatgrass juice and never have any horse rolls again in my life. But it's really not that. It's holistic in terms of the person that you are, the life that you live, and the support that is available to you, however that may come along.
I like the introduction. You've sent us a page regarding some of the stuff that you cover, and what I like, what jumped out at me, is, and I'm going to read it out, and I'd like you to expand on it. The therapy's approach to a healthy body and mind is very similar to that of the Islamic approach. Alhamdulillah. In a way, the philosophy underpinning holistic therapy aligns perfectly with Islamic teachings. Please expand on that.
Okay, so as I've done this over the years, I'll give one example does, especially now, stand out to me because there's a lot of PR talk online, especially now, about a nervous system regulation, which is great. The more people that are informed, the better. And obviously, doing what I do, I know over the years that one of the ways that we regulate the nervous system and increase vagal tone, which is the nerve that regulates us to rest and digest and calm down, from all of the life stresses. One of the things that we do, we teach clients is humming. Okay, so we teach clients how to hum. The reverberation through the vagal nerve, the way we hear it, all of those things resets our nervous system and allows for relaxation, allows for healing, allows for all good things to happen to us. And with that, it made me immediately, the first time I came across that modality or that practice, it made me immediately think of when we are making tilawa. And if you are making tilawa aloud and with tajweed, especially if you're pulling on the mud, that is resetting the nervous system. In vagal reset, they also talk about, washing the limbs with cold water or applying cold water, especially to your face, gargling, which is wudu. And I'm not in any way saying that these are the reasons why we have the Islamic injunctions, but these are the benefits I can see from the work that I'm doing that falls in line with so much of what is seen today in 2024 as healing modalities, as things that we sort of should be new, have now become new as practice. But in Islam, it's been there since day one.
Alhamdulillah. I heard someone, well, not the first time, I've heard several different people talking about when you go into the sajda position in salah, how beneficial it is to your body, your mind, your soul, because of all of those vibrations from the earth and all of the ions and other such. I guess materials that gives off their energies and their waves, even in your own home, you then attract it into your body. And that also then talks to holistic healing directly, does it not?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot, something that I say very often in session is, your energy is either over energized or under energized. And when people hear the word energy, they can think of something very uh, superfluous, I suppose. When I say energy, I literally mean electricity. Electromagnetic energy. Yes, the human body contains electricity. So, many people are surprised to find this out. I always say, don't let ESCOM find out because then they'll load shed you. But we're doing a pretty good job of load shedding ourselves.
Uh-huh.
We have
Okay.
enough electricity in our physical bodies at sitting rate to power a light bulb. A small light bulb, but yeah, enough to power a
Wow.
light bulb. So
Wow.
that's electricity that we're talking about, and being able to, there's so many things that can charge that can drain that: emotions, foods, thoughts, illness, obviously, so very many things. And the more we can educate ourselves, the better we can help ourselves and our families and our communities.
Now, I see that you're also trained in Touch for Health. Is that part of your holistic therapy? Other modalities that you use in your practice is chiropractic and traditional Chinese medicine, kinesiology as well, and then your neuro linguistic programming. Do you bring all of those modalities into one session, or how does it all work? How do you decide
Yes.
what is going to work for which patient, or do you just bring it all in together and let your patient benefit from all of those modalities?
That's a great question. And yes, all of that and more. And this is where holistic comes in. So at first, it might sound overwhelming, but the client is always the expert. I'm not the expert. The client knows what they need. and what they require in that moment, which is during session, after session, all of those things. The one thing I always bring into session is kinesiology, which is a muscle response test. With a muscle response test, we are never testing how strong, like muscles, what are your muscles like. We're never testing that. We are testing how your muscles respond to that. So your muscles will actually, you know, basically weaken. It's simple as that. Your muscles will weaken. Julie, if you'd like to do this with me, I'd love to show you what this is about, and this can be a
Okay.
life skill that you can use. So what you do is you take your non-dominant hand and make a circle with your index finger and your thumb, right? And the aim here with these fingers is to keep that circle closed, right? And then with your other fingers, you make like pincers, okay, with that index finger and thumb, and put that into the circle. So with these fingers here, you're pushing, right? There's a pushing motion. And with these here, you're keeping close. So put those fingers into that circle there. And I want you to say, my name is Julie, and push against the circle and see what happens. Tell me what happens.
My name is Julie. Well, I'm pushing, but on the other hand, the left hand is also trying to resist to the push.
So it's staying closed. All right. If you do the same thing now and say, my name is Tasneem, let me know what happens.
My name is Tasneem. Still resisting, still
Is there
remaining
some
close.
opening though? How do I see your screen? If you can see some small opening there.
I don't.
Okay, so you might be either your legs are crossed or because you are fasting at the moment. So with fasting,
Yeah.
it's quite difficult to do a muscle test. So usually what would happen, I'll show you on mine. Once I say my name is Tasneem, okay, it's tough. It will not open. If I say my name is Julie, no matter how much I am keeping this closed, right, the circle closed, my name is Julie, it will fly open. It will fly open. So that is a muscle response test. So you can see the muscles weaken. So another way we use this is I should
Okay, let
drink
me
more.
understand. Let me understand the purpose of that exercise. What is it that we're trying to prove or disprove there?
So from there, we will understand what type of modality we can use in session. It's as easy as that. So I usually do this on behalf of my clients. I also teach them like how I've just taught you, so they can use it personally and things like that. But I would use this to decide, okay, and this is coming from, I ask permission from the client. So then I would decide then from there what's going to be used in session.
Okay,
Basically,
what
the
is
client
that
decides.
that little exercise with me that didn't work? What does that indicate to you?
So
You
your
said maybe,
name would show you a yes. So
yeah.
that strengthens your muscles. So when your
Okay.
name is said, your body knows, your whole body knows, okay, that's true, that is my name. Right. And I've never had a client over the years who changed their name and done this test and stay closed. I
What
was
is
like,
the
okay, what's
first
happening?
time?
That's your name. That's your name. So on your name, it will give a yes. Your body
Yeah.
knows that's true. On my
Mm,
name, it will open. It will
okay.
open. It
I'm
might
gonna
open
try.
slightly. Please do.
I'm going to try it at
Please
home.
do. Please.
Okay, let's look at the issue around neuro linguistic programming. My understanding is that it's just teaching the client or the patient a different way of thinking, to change your thinking, to switch your thinking, so that you get better results or outcomes for yourself and the people around you. Would I be spot on? And how do you actually bring that into your holistic healing?
Okay, so exactly 100% reframe is a big part of NLP. Um, I would bring it in depending because you'd have to notice now where the client, where the negative sort of, there are no negative emotions, there are no negative thoughts, just ones that serve us. But finding out what that disadvantageous thought is, where it's coming from, and then reframing it in a way that helps the client, that benefits the client. Coaching is about strategy. A lot of people don't get that, like what exactly is a life coach, like, it's about strategy. It's about how is the best way that you can move forward. And one of the things that we focus on is what is your personal narrative. I want to bring that in as well, because one of the most disempowering things we do, all of us, and will always probably do, is ask negative disempowering questions and then
Uh-huh.
wonder why we are not progressing, why we are not winning. So a common one is, why am I not losing weight? Why don't I have any discipline? Why can't I succeed? And the brain does not have any parameter for, this is a good question, this is an empowering question, this is a bad question. The brain just answers the question. It's like your search bar in, when you're typing in something into your search bar, you go into Google and you type something in, it's just going to give you results. It has no context for whether that's a good question or a bad question. It would just give you the results, and the results are what we love. So being
Okay.
able to change the question is very important.
So reframe those very same questions. And I guess what you're also saying here, well, my understanding is that this is going to enhance your relationships, isn't it? Because if you're engaging in that way, um, I can't see a great relationship developing. Reframe those questions and then explain to the viewers the do's and the don'ts in conversations with your loved ones.
Okay, so a common one we do, especially with our kids, is saying to our kids, don't forget. Don't forget
Ah,
ABC, to do this, don't forget to do that. An easy, very easy way to do this is to say, please remember. Even with ourselves, instead of saying don't forget, say please remember. All right? That's, we build that up. That's a reframe. Okay, another
absolutely. You
very
saying
common,
don't. Can I just come
yeah,
in? You saying don't,
I'm gonna do
and
that.
then and of course the brain hears the last word forget. So you're going to
Always,
forget.
always. But if you say remember, all right.
Mm. So it's
Another
really about
common one,
it's about positivity, is it not? A
it's
kind of a
about
positive note. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. More positive, more engaging, more reinforcing. I'm not very big on positivity. I will say that as well. I'm not big on motivation. I'm not big on positivity, because that
Why
like
not? Why not?
excludes all our sort of um, our darkness, our shadow, our negativity. I see so many people, especially when it comes to Ramadan, I see so many people literally in tears and demotivated too fast because they don't feel spiritual. And where does this come from? Where does this come from? It comes from a teaching, and I'm sorry to say it's almost evangelical, if I'm allowed to say that, that we have to feel a certain way. Spirituality is supposed to make us feel a certain way, preferably peaceful, inspired, happy, thrilled, those kinds of things. And when we don't, we feel there's something inherently wrong with us. Where Islam is completely the opposite of that, where all your emotions are valid. And regardless of how you are feeling emotionally, you still have to show up for your worship. Right? So that's why I
I
don't.
You've kind of hit the nail on the head there. I must tell you, going back 10 years, I went on Hajj, Alhamdulillah, and I wasn't, I kept questioning myself, is my Hajj being accepted? Why don't I feel different? I ought to be feeling differently. I ought to feel spiritual, but I didn't know what spiritual is meant to feel like. So
Yes.
throughout my Hajj, I kept asking the question to myself and a few close people, what am I missing? What am I missing? So I hear you.
Begin to feel that we felt, and it's important. I really want to come in here for anyone who's listening now, and you have kids, young kids who are starting to fast, especially. We do this thing as mothers. We want to reward them now at iftar, literally at iftar, and it's give them something special to look forward to. And it's almost as though we don't want them to associate a negative feeling, a bad feeling, with Saum, and that is not our job as mothers. We don't want our children to feel that fasting is difficult, because then they might not do it and they might think it's bad. They might think it's, so hard. Fasting is, and it is. It absolutely is. Let your children know that ibadah is difficult and that we are a safe space. And both of those things can be true at the same time. We are not here to facilitate the fast to that extent where we want to shelter them from any negativity they feel within themselves. That is part of our spiritual graduation, to go through the difficulty, to have the challenge, and then have the connect.
So to understand, to get the true meaning of the fast, as difficult as it might me be, and also to delay the gratification, would it be correct to still motivate them to fast? and tell them all the good things, but delay the gratification for perhaps the end of the week or the end of the month and say, you have earned this because you stuck with it as hard as it was. And then possibly ask them, what lessons did you learn whilst
Yes.
you were fasting?
Absolutely, 100%. Definitely reward and encourage. Do the star chart. Do whatever in your home that suits your child. Your child best, and keeping in mind normalizing speaking to your children about your difficult feelings, being able to say to your kids, for example, making khatam of Quran this year is really challenging for me, you know, or it's difficult for me during Seri, or whatever it is for you, normalizing that so that when your child has those feelings in themselves, like, oh, I have to get up for Seri again, this is so difficult, they don't feel afraid, first of all, about feeling it, and then second of all, about voicing it and looking for support and not feeling like an outsider, like, they're a bad Muslim. So normalizing that through your own experience, speaking through it, that even though it is hard for me, I'm still doing it, because that's what
Mm.
love is. Love is doing hard things.
And not guilt trip them, because I think that's the worst thing any mom or dad could do. Don't make them feel guilty about it. Um, we are running out of time. There's still so much more to cover, but let me ask you this. Your brand, Mind First, what's that all about?
So, Mind First is holistic therapy and coaching strategy that is about how you can get the best result out of your life in any area. So, we're talking health, we're talking relationships, we're talking career. Literally, I've dealt with clients through the most vast array of challenges. And what we do together as coach and client is take what is contextual in your life, what is realistic for you, what you have available as your resources, and move from there to strategize how you can live to the best of your potential in that dimension.
How
And
many
yes, that includes
sessions?
spirituality.
How many sessions should one undertake with you to see results? And I know you're going to say the results depends on you and your mindset and your commitment to the program, but on
Yep.
average.
Okay. I actually was going to say that, but that's very true. That is very true. I wish I would say that more often. I don't ever, because I believe in agency, my work is very centered around agency, self agency. I never tell a client, you must take so many sessions. All right. So that is completely decided by the client. I always give a 20-minute, completely free discovery session to all my clients, because you should be able to see if you vibe with a therapist, if they are right fit for you, if they can help you with your particular challenge. Okay. So there's no obligation and no charge in that discovery session. However, the ones that have been most requested over the years is a 4 package consult and a 10 package consult. So I would say around 4 is what people most often recommend. And for me, that works too, because at the end of a month, you'll be amazed at the changes that you can make.
You're going to get those very difficult clients that won't put in the work, because undoubtedly you're going to give them strategies to work around and how they should be behaving, interacting, etc., etc. They just won't do it. They won't apply what you've asked them to apply, and then come back to you and tell you that it didn't work for me.
Mhm.
How do you call them out?
That does happen. That does happen. And for various reasons also. It's not necessarily because the client is irresponsible. There's like so much behind it. But what I do is I regularly have a check-in, especially with clients who, because I don't ever work in such a way where I want clients to become dependent on me. Like I said, the work is about agency. So I have a little questionnaire, a couple of questions where I ask the client, these were your goals. And it's something I do weekly with every client anyway. These were your goals. How far do you feel you've achieved them? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about them? If they say they've done well, that's great. What do you think worked? What have you done? What have you done that's worked? How can we replicate that in future? How can we apply that to other areas of your life? If they are not seeing any sort of movement, and it does happen, rare, but it does happen. If they are not seeing any type of movement, that I always advise perhaps it's time they need a break from session, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's a month. Sometimes self development work does become too much, and then they can look back at it. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, let's get your contact detail for people who'd like to interact on this amazing program of yours.
Okay, so they WhatsApp, that's 084 630 1934. And then I'm on Instagram as Tasneem Ahmed Coach. That's Ahmed, and Tasneem with the double E. And what is my, let me just check what my Facebook is. Um, is it Tasneem Ahmed Basha? Yeah, Tasneem Basha. I'm under Tasneem Basha on Facebook. I have my married surname up there. So yeah, they can check that out as well.
Tasneem, it's been wonderful talking with you. I do hope we can do this again sometime in the future. Have a wonderful rest of Ramadan. I mean, it's only the second day still, but may it go well and keep us in your du'as, inshallah. Thank you once again. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, good people, that's it for the mid morning show with me, Julie Ali. I will be back with you next week at the same time. Do enjoy the rest of this new look Ramadan program that we've put together for you. Just so that we can get a break from the same old, and introduce new, exciting faces, names, um, just the new take on programming, and not forgetting, of course, the competition, which was quite a laugh earlier on. So enjoy it. And before you know it, the month will be over. So, hold on to it, enjoy it, and get as much spirituality, inshallah, out of it as you can. Thank you indeed to our production team. That, of course, is you, my producer, Mariam Bakwanda. Thank you for putting together a great show. And the guys behind the controls, Lexi and Abdusalam. Till next week, as I've said, Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Ali.